Good morning. It's Friday, December 17th. Thanks for joining us this Friday as we bring you the full World Watch show one last time in 2020. Take time to like and subscribe and then enjoy Top Story. The National Archives has released a slew of secret documents related to the assassination of JFK. November 22nd, on a visit to Dallas, President John F. Kennedy was riding in a motorcade when gunshots rang out. 2 bullets striking the president.
There's only one word to describe the picture here, and that's grief, and much of it. It's official. As of just a few moments ago, the President of the United States is dead.
Police arrested Lee Harvey Oswald, but before he could be put on trial, Oswald was shot and killed by Dallas nightclub operator Jack Ruby. For 10 months, a government panel called the Warren Commission investigated and concluded that Oswald was the killer and had acted alone. But other theories persist. Was the mafia, the FBI, or the CIA involved? How about Cuban President Fidel Castro, or Soviet intelligence agency known as the KGB? Or maybe even Vice President Johnson. Historians and skeptics will pore over the documents. Will they find information that changes minds? Maybe not, but the release does include some fascinating details. CIA cables discussing Oswald's visits to the Soviet and Cuban embassies in Mexico City, discussion about Cuba's potential involvement in the killing of Kennedy, FBI surveillance of mafia leaders, and a CIA document marked Secret Eyes Only that traces U.S. government plots to assassinate Fidel Castro. For history lovers, it's an early Christmas gift. U.S. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell has signaled raising interest rates in the coming year. America's inflation is the highest in decades, and the Fed will now respond dramatically to try to gain price stability. Powell's comments indicate the Fed will raise rates on the money it lends to institutions in 3 steps through 2022, possibly reaching a hike of 0.75%. When a bank lends money, the borrower has to pay that back over time. The amount paid back increases over time depending on the loan's interest rate. Often, interest rates and inflation have an inverse relationship, meaning when inflation is high, interest rates are low. So raising rates is one tool the Fed can use to tamp down inflation. Powell said the Fed will also scale back its asset purchases like government securities.
We are phasing out our purchases more rapidly because with elevated inflation pressures and a rapidly strengthening labor market, the economy no longer needs increasing amounts of policy support.
Government securities are a way for the government to borrow money from the private sector to fund federal projects and feed money into the economy. The Fed's moves are an abrupt change to strategy and a recognition that inflation wasn't quite as temporary or mild as it had thought. All of the remaining missionaries kidnapped in Haiti exactly 2 months ago have been released. A gang known as 400 Mwozo had initially demanded a ransom of $1 million, but it's not known if anything was paid, and a few weeks ago, 5 of those hostages were released. The remaining dozen were found very early Thursday morning, simply dropped off and wandering lost in a Port-au-Prince neighborhood. Christian Aid Ministries confirmed the news and rejoiced. Its website reading, "We glorify God and thank you for your fervent prayers." This year, nearly 2,000 airmen were discharged from the U.S. Air Force for failure to obey an order. As you can imagine, that's one of the most serious responsibilities of a soldier. 27 of those failed to obey an order that many question, the order to get a COVID vaccination. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin laid down the mandate in August. Military personnel were given months to comply, and requests to skip the shot for medical or religious reasons have been winding their way through reviews. But now, the rubber is hitting the runway. The Air Force became the first to actually kick people out, and the Navy has been cleared to follow suit this week. Each of the military's branches are expected to have to deal with thousands who refuse to be vaccinated.
What is the gospel? Be ready to give an answer to one of the most important questions of your faith. Register now for the renowned youth conference at Boyce College.
Hockey, curling, ice skating, downhill skiing, all just 48 days away. Michelle Slavin gives us a taste of one winter Olympic event you'll see in Beijing, speed skating.
And Brian, let me tell you about one U.S. athlete using technology to sharpen her skills. This is Maame Biney, a 21-year-old world-class speed skater. Her event is short track, a sprint, 2 laps in an average of 40 seconds.
Her technique isn't what you would consider textbook short track speed skating technique. However, she makes up for that with an immense amount of power.
But raw talent only takes a person so far. Like most athletes, Maame and her coach are always looking for an edge on the competition.
Our goal is to break a world record in short track speed skating, nothing less.
They're actually using 3 technologies. Sensors attached to her suit give Maame a psychological representation of her body's movements on the ice, so she's able to virtually analyze her technique from every angle.
It's very hard for me to imagine it in my brain, but once I see it as my avatar is doing it, it's just oh shoot, this is what I need to fix.
Then there are pressure sensors in her skates. They show Maame the force she exerts on the ice, allowing her to analyze each skate's pressure on the curves compared to the straightaways. And they're using LiDAR, light detection and ranging. This creates a 3D representation of the ice and Maame's movements, allowing her to overlay each lap's speed and technique to directly compare runs. The goal in using all this tech is simple: help Maame understand her skating movements on the ice, to improve her technique and make her faster. Even small adjustments make a big difference, like the angle of her shoulders. This affects velocity on the track.
Being able to see the instant result, it was just very interesting because I could see the change right then and there. I felt like I carved the corner a lot faster, because of that very slight adjustment.
The technology is helping Maame and her coach communicate, putting his pointers into visual and quantifiable data.
It's incredible that in just one day, we had actual measurable results.
There seem to be shortages of everything this year, but not Santas. At least here at a school in London that's training people to be the perfect Saint Nick. It's part of the company Santa HQ, Santa Headquarters, an immersive interactive video call for children that was launched last year.
What we're finding is that more people are wanting to see Santa and to have live events. People can go online to Santa HQ and meet him there. And so we've now got 2 ways of meeting him rather than just the conventional waiting in a grotto or in a shopping centre.
But even with all their bright red suits and white beards, these Santas are a pale comparison to the real St. Nicholas. That's right, the real deal. We know him as Santa Claus, Kris Kringle, Father of Christmas, and good old Saint Nick. But those are only modern takeoffs. The real Saint Nicholas was born almost 1,800 years ago. And no, he didn't live at the North Pole with 8 of his famous reindeer. Nicholas was actually born in the village of Patara in Asia Minor. It's what we know today as Turkey. So how did he become the father of Christmas? His wealthy parents raised him to be a devout Christian, teaching him to sell what he owns and give money to the poor. When they died, Nicholas used his entire inheritance to assist the needy, the sick, and the suffering. He dedicated his life to serving God and was later made Bishop of Myra. Bishop Nicholas soon became known throughout the land for his generosity, especially to children. By the time he died on December 6th, many stories and legends had been told about his life. Retelling his story helps us remember the characteristics that made people admire him. And you can see where our friendly, gift-bearing version of St. Nicholas got its start.
Now here's a Christmas display that surely can be seen from space. As a matter of fact, a family from Lagrangeville, New York had so many lights, they set a world record for largest residential light display. 686,611 glorious lights. It takes Tim and Grace Gay, along with their 3 children, 8 weekends and 8 miles of extension cords. It's not just for the love of Christmas. The project pulled in over $80,000 for local charities last year. By the way, the previous record was from 2014, held by none other than the Gay family. Everyone can enjoy the light show, but for Christians, it can hold a deeper meaning, a reminder of what Jesus said, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." We hope you have a Merry Christmas. This is our last full show until January 3rd. However, join us next week for 3 shorter episodes featuring Christmas traditions. That's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before we take a break to share Christmas with our families. Make sure to check out the full site at worldwatch.news. You can try out the show free for a month. And remember, whatever the news, the purpose of the Lord will stand.